Welcome to part 3 of Tino the Turtle tutorial. We're going to start off by making a magic ring, so grab your green yarn and cross the yarn over like this so there's two parallel lines on one side and a cross on the other side. And then take your crochet hook, go under the first loop, over the second, and pull that yarn through the loop. If you need a refresher on how to make the magic ring, I've got a tutorial linked down below. And then place 6 single crochets in this magic ring. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we're going to shut the magic ring. Remember to hold it while you're pulling so that it doesn't get all twisted. And then in round 2, we are just going to do an increase all the way around the circle, taking us from 6 stitches to 12. So make your first increase. That's 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets, and then go ahead and mark that first stitch that you did. So in the next stitch we're going to do another increase. That's 1 and 2, and then an increase in the next stitch, and increase in every stitch all the way around until you get back to the stitch marker. So we're on our last increase here, and this is actually the last round of the fin. So go ahead, remove your stitch marker, tighten the tail, and we're going to weave in the tail. It can be a little tricky to weave in the tail on such a small piece, but just do your best. Make sure it's super tight to close the hole. And then just weave your tail in back and forth. Be sure to trim the piece when you're done because it's going to be really hard to close this piece if you don't trim it pretty short. So now that we're done, we're going to fold this piece in half and we're going to single crochet across the top, similar to what we were doing with the head. And it can be a little tricky because this piece is so small, but fold it in half like a little taco. And grab your crochet hook. We're going to be inserting the hook in both sides of this folded piece, so in the front here like this, and also poke it into the back. It's pretty tricky to do the first couple ones, but once you have a few done, it becomes easier, so just go slow and be patient. So as you can see, we are single crocheting through both sides of the fin to close it. This is going to make a really nice half moon crescent shape for the fin. So just working your way across the fin. So once you're on the last stitch, just make sure you went through every stitch of the fin. And we're going to cut it here, leave about 6 inches of the tail to sew it onto the body. And then you can just pull the yarn directly through that little loop there. And you're going to make 2 of this size. These are the back fins and they are smaller than the front fins. So make 2 of those. Now for the front fins, start off by making a magic circle again. And again, if you do need a refresher on the magic circle, I do have a tutorial link down below that's exclusively for the magic circle. And then you're going to place 6 single crochets in the magic circle. Once you're done, you can close the circle. And we're going to repeat the exact same thing that we did for the back fin, except we're going to add another row on it. So go ahead and make an increase in each stitch around the circle. We're going from 6 stitches up to 12. So that is our first increase here. And then pause and mark the first stitch that we did. So that's the second one away from the working loop. And just keep increasing around the circle until you get back to the stitch marker. So the last round is just going to be alternating between a single crochet and an increase. It's going to take us from 12 stitches up to 18 stitches. So remove the stitch marker, place your first stitch of the round, and then mark that stitch. In the next stitch, we're going to place our increase. And then in the next stitch, place a single crochet. Increase, and single crochet. Just keep alternating between that until you get back to the stitch marker. So this is the last round of the fin. Remove your stitch marker and we're gonna do the exact same thing that we did with the back fins. So first weave in your tail and then we're going to fold it in half and single crochet across the top to close it. So make sure you cut your tail to make it easier to fold it in half. This piece is a little bit bigger, so it's a little bit easier to fold it in half here. And again, we are going through both the front and the back side of the fin, like so, and single crochet across both to close it. Now we can cut the fin and fasten off, so leave about 6 inches for sewing. Be sure to make 2 of the front fins as well as 2 of the back fins. Now that we have 2 front fins and 2 back fins, we're ready to sew them on. And we're gonna sew the front fins on beside the head and then the back fins on at the back. So go ahead and start off with the front fins. I like to sew them on so that the curved side is facing back. It doesn't really matter which way you want to sew it on, just make sure it's the same for all the fins on the direction that you're going. I like to sew it on about 1 or 2 stitches away from the head. Again, this placement isn't super important, just make sure that you do the same placement for both fins. And then to sew it on, all you do is you poke your needle through the body, poke your needle through the fin, and just pull on the yarn to close it. Again, this is just a simple whip stitch, and I like to go about 3 stitches up from the fin to secure it on really well. And I'll go over it about 4 or 5 times to sew it on. Once you're done, you can weave in your end. Repeat this process for the other fin. Just make sure both the fins are facing the same way and make sure they're even spaces apart from the head on either side. For the back fins, you're going to do the same thing that you did with the front fins. Just make sure you're happy with the placement before you start sewing them on, and make sure they're facing the same direction as the front fins. I go about 4 stitches away from the front, but it doesn't really matter. Just pick wherever you'd like it to be, and just make sure it's the same on both sides. Now that your turtle is complete, you can go ahead and cut all the ends. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please leave a comment down below. Follow me on Instagram if you want to keep up with Yarny Box updates. And if you do post your turtle on social media, be sure to tag me on Instagram at YarnyBox. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye!